What is going on YouTube? This is the Raiders Rundown, and we're going to talk about the latest Raiders news, head coach, GM search, and potential free agents that we could sign. And at the end of this video, we're going to reference some member questions and talk about certain topics that are important to our team. So let's get right into it. Tom Pelissero reported just 2 days ago, the Raiders put in a request today to interview Colts assistant general manager Ed Dodds for their GM job, per source. Dodds got a start in Oakland under Al Davis before moving on to Seattle and Indianapolis, a highly respected scout. People love this guy. People love what Chris Ballard has done with the Colts. Dodds has been there the whole time. They have a really good roster, aside from Carson Wentz, I will say, especially after how he performed against the Raiders. I think they made a mistake there. And then Phillip Rivers the previous year, a couple mistakes there. However, Dodds has a relationship in some ways with Jim Harbaugh. While he was in Oakland and got a start in Oakland, Harbaugh was also there under Bill Callahan. So that's where there can be a connection, perhaps, to Jim Harbaugh. I don't know. I think that's just sort of a coincidence. I don't think that necessarily indicates a direct connection. I don't think directly just because Dodds is interviewing and if he gets the job, I don't think that necessarily means that Harbaugh is coming in too, and that's why Dodds is here. So I wouldn't jump to those conclusions, but it is interesting. This guy's really talented, well-respected scout, and there's been word that he's going to be interviewed for some time, and now he is finally here. So should be interesting to see. And if I'm not mistaken, he also declined his GM interview with the Bears. The Bears had an interview set up with Dodds. He said, never mind. So maybe there's somewhat of a decision already made, because I wouldn't necessarily be declining interviews unless I knew I for sure had a really good job somewhere. Or maybe he just turned it down. Maybe this guy is so highly respected, even though he doesn't have a secure job elsewhere, he feels comfortable turning down interviews from the Bears. That'd be pretty crazy. I'd like to be in that spot if I was him. All right, a couple people who we have been interviewing. Dujuan Daniels, he is an in-house candidate right now for the Raiders. He is the assistant director of player personnel, hired in 2019, used to be part of the Patriots, well-respected guy there. Then you also have Jerod Mayo. He is the de facto defensive coordinator, but technically the linebacker coach for the Patriots, and he could be a head coach for the Raiders. However, I don't know, he doesn't have much experience. You know, maybe he's part of this Rooney Rule thing, and we're just kind of complete that. Just being honest, I don't want to sound insensitive, but he doesn't really have that much experience to just take over the Las Vegas Raiders. So perhaps we're just filling in a criteria, right? Rich Bisaccia obviously has been interviewed. The players want him. I don't know how likely that's going to happen. Seems like Mark Davis wants to swing big. You've heard people, various networks, Glazier, Tom Pelissero, and others say, hey, it looks like Mark Davis wants to get a rock star. He wants to get some superstar head coach. Rich Bisaccia, not sure if he is it. Who knows, though? Maybe the talent really likes him so much where you go ahead and bring him in. You've seen Max Crosby go on 2 different shows now, Rich Eisen show and Colin Cowherd show, to stump for Rich Bisaccia. 2 different shows. That's pretty crazy to me. And obviously you've seen what Derek Carr said about Bisaccia and Hunter Renfrow on NBC. Really high praise there. Dave Ziegler, director of player personnel for the Patriots, somebody who could be interesting for the Raiders, and he is also highly respected. One thing about him is the Broncos wanted to make him their general manager in 2020, but Belichick went out of the way to retain Dave Ziegler and was able to win him over. And that says something to me. If somebody's going to fight for you, somebody's going to say, hey, I want this guy, boom, you're going to say, no, back off, he's mine. You must be a hot commodity, right? In relationships, when that happens, you know that person must be a hot commodity if you have 2 different people fighting over them. So looks like Dave Ziegler's the lady that a lot of people want to take to the dance. I guess I'll say that. And Ed Dodds, this is the big one that we just talked about. He's coming in to interview. By the way, Jerod Mayo's interview will be Tuesday, and Ed Dodds, if I'm not mistaken, is today, Monday. So we'll have some more clarification as to who's going to be the head coach or GM. And we got to make a decision soon. To be honest, this is taking too long. This is taking too long in my book because we got work to do, man. We got to figure out what's going to happen in free agency, what direction this whole entire team and organization is going to go. Whoever comes in has a lot on their plate and actually also has a lot of valuable assets. They have really good players on their team. They have a quarterback who a lot of teams would want. They have an elite pass rusher. Don't even get me started. I can go down the list, talk about all the great players we have, great facilities and everything. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of decisions to be made, and other teams who already have their head coach and GM in place, I believe, are getting ahead of us now. They have a head start now on the offseason, so we got to get this together quick. Adam Schefter, this is him reporting, and this is what I'm talking about. Davante. Are we going to have a Davante Adams, Derek Carr, Fresno State reunion? I've seen both of these guys play at Fresno State, and I have to tell you, it was electrifying. And I would love for this to happen because the way the Packers went out, it was not hot. The Packers went out downhill. I thought they were going to go into the NFC Championship, and it was going to be Brady versus Rodgers in the NFC Championship. Boy, was I wrong. We got a lame-ass freaking Niner gang in the NFC Championship. And then we also got the Rams, who I'm sort of indifferent to. So that'll be interesting there. My predictions weren't correct. However, I did predict a Bengals versus Chiefs AFC Championship. Said the NFL would rig it that way if they had to. And you saw Travis Kelce last night. So many OPIs, push-offs, able to illegally block down the field when other players are running their crossing routes. And it's just messed up. And the league needs to be fair with the rules. So this crap is not just so predictable. Really so predictable. Anyways, on to Davante Adams. He could be out. Aaron Rodgers says he doesn't know what's going to happen in his future. He could be sipping ivermectin with Joe Rogan, or he could be hosting Jeopardy. Who knows what Aaron Rodgers can do? He has plenty of options. And he said he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. And guess what? Adam Schefter, Packers now head into the offseason projected to be $44.8 million over the salary cap, the NFL's second most challenging offseason position behind only the New Orleans Saints. This is before the team attempts to re-sign or tag Pro Bowl wide receiver Davante Adams. Major decisions loom. So if they tag Davante Adams, from what I've heard from different sources, he would be roughly $25 million. So you can't afford this. You already have so many contracts you got to get out of. Maybe you can settle with Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to get out of Aaron Rodgers without paying him something. You got a couple pieces that you could cut, but either way, the way that I looked at it, I looked at some players that the Saints could cut to clear some cap. And even then, they still would be $20 million over the cap. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's why Sean Payton wants to get out of there. There's been rumors about that. But hey, this leaves the door open for Davante to come with Derek Carr. Come on over. We'll pay you that $25 million a year. We need a number one wide receiver. And imagine this. Davante Adams, number one receiver. Zay Jones, our number two receiver. Hunter Renfrow in the slot. And we still got Waller and Moreau, Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, Jalen Richard. To me, that's a dope offense. To me, that's exactly what we needed. And I'm not going to say it's what we had because Henry Ruggs is a different style of a receiver, but it's closer to what we were heading towards. I will say that prior to the tragedies of 2021. But I really hope this happens. And let me know in the chat, man. Do you want Davante Adams to the Raiders, or do you think that's too much money? Do you think $25 million for a receiver is too much money? Let me know in the chat. You want Davante? You want to save the cash? I want Davante, man. Let's just do it. Hey, but there's some other wide receivers that we could get. It's possible. Free agency is going to be hopping with wide receivers. So maybe Davante, I still think, commands $25 million, but maybe he doesn't necessarily get all the cash that he wants because there is so much competition. However, he is the hottest commodity, but here's some free agent wide receivers that I looked up and saw that are going to be available. Chris Godwin is going to be an option. Obviously, he had that season-ending injury for the Buccaneers, was taken out for the rest of the year, so who knows if he's going to still be 100% and be able to perform the way he has performed in the past. But it seems like a lot of people think so because he is still rated very high, I believe top 30 free agent wide receivers, according to PFF, still rated really high. But among people in the NFL, who knows? They could be wrong. Maybe they can be too deep into the stat book, but who knows? Allen Robinson, always been solid. He's never had a QB, and I would really like to see what he would do with Derek Carr. I think this guy would be a little more affordable, maybe $15 million a year, but he's a solid talent, and I just feel like he keeps going in places where he doesn't have a dope QB. Jaguars, now Bears. Let's see what he could do with Derek Carr. I think that would be interesting. Michael Gallup, season-ending injury as well, and I know a lot of people like Michael Gallup. They think he'd be dope, played on the Cowboys. A third string to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, but you are the third string. And sometimes you will have production. You will do really well if you are someone like Michael Gallup because everybody's trying to cover Cooper. Everybody's trying to cover CeeDee Lamb on the Cowboys, and then you're one-on-one with a third string corner. Now, so I don't think we should rush to go ahead and sign Michael Gallup because in my view, he's not necessarily going up against number one number 2 corners very often. Antonio Brown, do we bring back AB? What do you guys think? Bring back AB? I know, maybe we should hit for AB. But that would be funny. That would be hilarious. And here's the thing about AB. Look, I think he's annoying, but maybe he was right about Mike Mayock. He called Mike Mayock a cracker, and now Mark Davis has moved on with Mike Mayock. Maybe AB was onto something in his own twisted, fogged up mind. But I don't know. I just kind of laugh at AB, but he is still a talented wide receiver. Like, if AB was on the Raiders right now and wasn't crazy and he was acting like he was in 2020 with the Buccaneers where he just did his job, yes, he would probably be the best wide receiver on our team. Straight up. So I don't think he is going to come here, but if there is a sense that you can get him on a bargain deal, who knows? To be honest, I'm the type of person where I say I let bygones be bygones, and if it's really going to work out now, let's make a deal now. Let's get to work now. AB is older, obviously, and so is Odell Beckham. He's older, and he has sort of an attitude problem. Clearly, Baker Mayfield was the problem with the OBJ connection in Cleveland, but I also think he benefits kind of like Michael Gallup, where, yeah, they have Cooper Kupp on the other side for you if you are the Rams. So you're going to go against number 2s. You're not necessarily going to go against the number 1 corner every single time, and I think that's why OBJ is also benefiting here. However, the Browns did have Jarvis Landry, but I think typically the number 1 corner did cover OBJ in Cleveland, which is not the case in Los Angeles. So he could still catch, though. Some of these catches in this past game, man, against the Bucs, OBJ sideline toe tapping. This guy, he impressed me. And I'm someone who I don't really like the celebrity players. I kind of roast him, make fun of him. I think OBJ spends a little too much time in the beauty salon, compared to most wide receivers. But when you make catches like that, you make people like me just shut the hell up and say, can we get this guy on our team? So whatever. Juju Smith-Schuster coming back for an injury, still made an impact in that playoff game. I believe so. And look, he is someone who would be a great threat in the red zone. I don't think he fulfills the need that we necessarily need, I think, which is a deep threat. Deshaun Jackson, I don't know if he's coming back for the Raiders. He is a lot older, but I think we definitely need to address that. What are we missing without Henry Ruggs, especially if we run a West Coast scheme or something similar to John Gruden's offense? That becomes a problem. And Juju Smith-Schuster, to me, is like a Davante Adams, but differently. Davante Adams is more versatile, but Juju Smith-Schuster, he sort of is just like another Bryan Edwards to me, somebody who's going to be a red zone threat, make some good contested catches, and I think he would do a great job. However, it might be redundant if we already have Bryan Edwards and DJ Chark, really good speedster for the Jaguars, along with Christian Kirk. These two guys on the bottom of the list, just to wrap up here, I think could really pay off for the Raiders and could be something that maybe isn't too expensive, doesn't completely break the bank like some of these other receivers who are a little more famous, I would say. Christian Kirk, wow, he's a great talent for Arizona and maybe has been overshadowed since the emergence of Hopkins. Carr's future, though, is he going to be here? I hope he's here to recruit somebody like Davante Adams. Yes, the final game against Cincinnati wasn't great, but it was the first game in about 4 or 5 where he went over 300 yards. And I think this game still stings fans a lot. I have a video on the final play of this game, and a lot of fans talk about this, and they say how much they love Carr and how well Carr has played throughout his career despite so many setbacks. And even this past year, he's having a career year in 2021 in terms of almost every statistical category besides touchdowns. And I think that's the problem, and that's what you need in these playoff games. You need to run it sometimes. You need to take some risks. And you saw QBs like Josh Allen sort of do this past weekend, and I think this is stinging for fans. However, at this moment in time, I believe Derek Carr is the best option for the Raiders. And I have said this before, and I have pissed a lot of people off. At this point in their careers, Derek Carr versus Tom Brady, the Tom Brady you saw this Sunday in the playoffs, at this point in their careers, who would you take? Would you take the 40-year-old Tom Brady or would you take the 30-year-old Derek Carr? I would take the 30-year-old Derek Carr. I think if he had a squad like the Bucs, he would be doing some ill stuff. I really do think so. But I'm not saying he's Josh Allen. He's not going to truck somebody and get in the end zone. No, he's not going to do that. But just answer this question for me. Would you take 40-year-old Brady today, right now, after that performance you saw on Sunday and after Carr's performance in the wild card? Who would you take today? want to see you guys answer that question. We have some member questions as we wrap up. Wi-Fi, this is from Jordan A. So consider becoming a member. You can ask me questions. I'll include it in my videos. There is a link in the description. It's a good way to support the channel. So go ahead and investigate that if you'd like. Jordan A. Wi-Fi, do you expect the Raiders to make the playoffs? Now that they are looking for a new GM/head coach, will the system change cause a rebuild? Now, here's what I'll say about this. I think whatever regime we get, it's going to be kind of like Mike McCarthy joining the Cowboys, where you don't make severe roster changes and you just try to take over and do the best you can with the squad, because we have so many players whose contracts expire after 2022. So I really believe 2022 is the year that we could seriously do something big with the roster we have, because we're going to have to re-sign guys like Trayvon Mullen, like Max Crosby, like Hunter Renfrow. Right? Make a decision on Cleveland Farrell, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram. The list goes on. I can go on and on about how many players we need to re-sign after 2022, and Derek Carr included, Unique Ngakoue included. See, they just keep coming. So I think this is the year where we got to do something special. I think we made the wild card this past year. We can get even better, go deeper into the playoffs, address some of the problems we've had. You know what? Let's not do a rebuild. Hopefully it's a Mike McCarthy situation where you just try to work with what you have, maybe even cater, maybe change your scheme to the roster you already have. And I hope that happens. And I believe that would be, I think, the financially sound, rational way to go about it. And I believe Mark Davis will go that way. And we will find out this week probably who will be the head coach and GM. And I hope you'll be here to join me and watch all that. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, let me know your thoughts, and let's follow the news together. Let's talk about the Raiders together. I can't wait. You know I'm excited. So this is WiFi Willie of the Raiders Rundown. Peace out. You have a good one. Good night.